Hello, friends, and welcome to another great episode of WOG right here on the Boom Broadcasting. Yours truly, Shawn, back in the driver's seat again, getting you through a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, or Saturday night, depending on what time of the day you're watching WOD right here on the Boom Broadcasting. So much to talk about, so much to look into this week of wrestling. We had one of the all-time greats sign off and have his signature hoorah moment going off into the sunset. We lost Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, to WWE fans. Did not lose him as a person, but lost him as a full-time and part-time in-ring competitor and performer. He's going off in retirement. Very much needed. We also now have the OTC calling the shots. Jimmy Uso's back. Jay Uso doesn't want to have nothing to do with his brother. So much going on. Cody somewhere mixed in the bloodline. UFC and WWE for the first time was in the same ring. So much to talk about it. Let's jump into it. You're watching WOD on the Boom Broadcasting. Let's go, WOD. Welcome back to WOD. As we said, so much to talk about. Bryan Danielson, formerly known as Daniel Bryan's retirement last match. We had the Bloodline, Cody Rhodes intertwining Jimmy and Jay. The OTC is back to wreak havoc on Solo Sikoa and the new Bloodline. You got that going on. You got WWE and UFC showing this partnership with TKO, this merger, and how it works. And let's jump directly into that one first. So, for the first time ever in WWE and UFC programming, all three champs of both companies were in the same ring. Now, of course, UFC has more than one champ. You know, they got different weight divisions: middleweight, flyweight, bantamweight, heavyweight, super heavyweight, so many different ones. Welterweight, I used to know them all from my days when I was boxing, judging, and boxing refereeing, and boxing, the MMA inspecting, all that stuff. Can't remember all, just remember the main ones. But if you're WWE and UFC and TKO, you showed a great unity. Now, there's a lot of fans on both sides of the fence, UFC and WWE, that are upset about this. But for the first time, you had the ring general Gunther. You had Tom Espinal and Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, all in the same ring with their belts. A lot of fans on the WWE side are upset that WWE kind of did this with UFC. A lot of my UFC fans who are not WWE fans are upset that UFC let WWE come and let this picture happen. But let's enjoy it, people. Let's enjoy it. Whether you're fans of one promotion or you're like me, fans of both UFC and WWE, it was a happy balance, good median, because for the first time you had three competitors who are legit world class champions. I'll say that again. For the first time when this picture has happened now, when we go back 10 to 20 years and look in the archives, dig in the archives to dig this picture out, you had three champs that were legit world champions. Gunther, probably the best in-ring mat technician. That's why they call him the ring general, because that's exactly what he is in the ring. Can call a match on the fly, can change the finish, can do it all. In the best shape of his life from when he first became the WWE as the NXT UK champ. Cut down on his way, has the look, looks like a champ, walks like a champ, talks like a champ. He's everything if you're WWE who you want to pump money into to say, this is the guy. Then you go on the other side, the SmackDown brand. You have the WWE World Heavyweight Universal Champ, Cody Rhodes. Once again, looks like a champ, talks like a champ. In-ring work is impeccable right now. Impeccable right now. It's just so much going for him. And right now, Cody Rhodes is just doing everything right. Then you go with Thomas Field, the UFC champ. So let's enjoy the moment. Thomas Field, the real deal in UFC. Let's enjoy the moment. WWE fans, quit saying this is a curse and a slap to WWE because we don't want UFC invading our stuff. UFC fans, quit saying you let these guys, and we don't use the F word on this show. And you know which one I'm talking about. Not talking about the F bomb, but the F word in wrestling. We don't use it on this show. But quit saying you let these guys, and they use that word, come on UFC and stand beside a legit real champ. Be like me. I watch both. I enjoy both. I enjoy my WWE. I enjoy my AEW. I enjoy my UFC. I still enjoy boxing. A lot of people gave up on boxing. I'm still a boxing fan. You got to remember what I tell people. I grew up in the NWA and Iron Mike Tyson's heyday. I was a kid during those glory days. I saw Tyson knocking people out in the first round. That's why I can't let go of boxing, because even though the sport of boxing now is tainted with so many ex-athletes from different areas wanting to get involved, you know, you got the Jake Paul involved. To me, Jake Paul's a good boxer. Yeah, I said he's a good boxer. You got that going on. Still, it's the ultimate sport, combat sport boxing, along with UFC. And his podcast, Smitty says, WWE wrestling, AEW in general, whether it's AEW, WWE, TNA, NWA Power, Ring of Honor, not TNA, New Japan, all of that stuff is the ultimate gentleman sport. That's it. Podcast Smitty says it best. Let's just enjoy the moment to have three of the best at their profession in the same ring at the same time taking this photo. Because it could have been anybody else. It could have been somebody who you may say, well, this guy's not a legit champ. But you got three people who are at their best right now in this photo. Hats off to WWE. Hats off to UFC. Hats off to TKO for this merger. And I'm telling you, both companies believe in each other. And we got to get on It Stinks. I'm a parallel over here that I'm going to come right back. But we got to get on It Stinks because we got to talk about that Mr. McMahon document. So me, Prez, Mike D, Podcast Smitty, and Mouth Off with Mike, we got to set up a day that we all get together and talk about the Mr. McMahon documentary, because I'm going to spoil one thing. Shane wanted to do this first before this partnership happened. He wanted Vince to buy UFC, and Vince thought that it would be a waste of money. Shane now saying, hey, I wish they would have bought it. We could have UFC and WWE, and there wouldn't be a merger. It would just be a McMahon merger. But they didn't do it. But the merger is great. You're going to see more WWE fans and WWE people at UFC events. You're going to see more WWE superstars at UFC events. I wouldn't be surprised at the next big pay-per-view if Gunther and Cody are not in the house with the belt. I wouldn't be surprised at the next big WWE pay-per-view if one of the UFC champs are not in the house. All of these guys talk. And, you know, you go back and look at the lineage history of this, Brock was the one that opened up the transfer portal for UFC and WWE. Brock started in WWE, came from an amateur wrestling background, transitioned over with the football, didn't work out, switched to UFC, had a great run in UFC. People who did not know who Brock Lesnar was, when I remember his first UFC fight, I watched with a group of guys. They were diehard UFC guys, not WWE guys. Call wrestling. We don't want to watch that mess. Shawn, you can watch it. You and your buddy can watch it. We don't watch it. And they said, man, Brock's going to get beat. He's a WWE guy. He's going to get beat. And Brock went in and wreaked havoc. And you better believe within 2 weeks, every one of them guys who said they didn't watch WWE went on WWE.com, that's a plug, and bought a Brock Lesnar t-shirt because they were selling off the racks because UFC didn't have them yet. So WWE said, hey, we're going to hold on these shirts because this guy gets good in UFC. and they don't have shirts, people going to come to buy the shirt. That's what they did. So can we just, and bro, open up that transfer portal, but can we just enjoy it as fans and not have to crap on it because we're only fans of one thing? Just be glad for the moment. I am. As a fan of both, I'm glad that it happened because now it's showing that both professions now are going to work together and do these cameos at both shows. You're listening to WOD right here with Shawn on the Boom Broadcasting. Welcome back, and now it is time to look at the two main topics today of WOD. We'll do the WWE one first, then we'll do the farewell to Bryan Danielson last, out of respect. So, the OTC is back. Good win at Bad Blood. Jimmy Uso shows back. Jimmy Uso comes back on Friday night. Him and Roman have a good little dialogue with the people, really setting up this War Games Civil War match between both bloodlines. But what I really like about this story is everybody has their own story that they're following. Roman, come back to get Ufala, to lead the bloodline, to be the leader. Jimmy Uso, kicked out of the bloodline by his baby brother Solo Sikoa. 6 months on the shelf, comes back to side with his older cousin Roman to now get revenge against his baby brother that kicked him out. Jay left the bloodline, went on his own, became a star. He was already main event Jey Uso, but now he has escalated that name main event Jey Uso to this level now. He's the Intercontinental Champ, pretty much showing them that I don't need my brother. I don't need Roman. I did it by myself. I built myself to be a brand name in WWE. This is me. It's my time. I have arrived. And I really liked on Monday night how Jimmy and Jay had great dialogue where Jay said, I don't want to have nothing to do with you, man. That's your business. Not mine no more. That's you, bro. That's you, Oos. I really like that. And that's what I like about this bloodline story. No matter who you plug in or how you plug it in, it works. So now we see that Jay is going to have to get, that Jim is going to have to get Jay, and Jay's not going to cooperate. Jay's doing his own thing, Intercontinental Champ. So you're going to set it up that either Roman comes to Raw or Roman's getting beat up at the next pay-per-view and Jimmy's getting beat up and Jay's got to make a save. Or you could set it up where Sammy makes the save. You got Cody getting beat up, Roman getting beat up, Jimmy getting beat up. Sammy comes to even out the odds. So now you got Sammy returning back as the original honorary Uso. And you can still keep Jay away, and then you can have it where now Jay has to make a decision. Is it going to be new bloodline or OTC bloodline? So much. I really think they have just done a very well job of guiding everybody that fits in this storyline down a good path. Now, when you look at Bloodline 2.0 is what I like to call them, you got Jacob Fatu who's going to be the breakout of that right now. I really thought it'd be Tama Tonga. That's my guy. That's my guy. If you watch WOD, you know I'm a Tama Tonga guy. I like GOD in New Japan. Tonga Low is starting to get back to the New Japan what I wanted to see. I really wish they would just let him go full throttle and be the GOD that I used to enjoy watching on New Japan in those press conferences and coming out to the ring. They haven't done that yet because they got to kind of keep it in those parameters. But I think January, you better watch out. I think the real Tongans are going to stand up and they're going to put the ones up, and it's going to be the Tongans I've been waiting to see, the GOD Tongans. But Jacob Fatu is the breakout for this group right now. Solo knows that. I think it's just a matter of time before we see that he becomes the breakout of the group. So I really enjoy the bloodline. I would like to see Sammy come in first and Jay be the last. Because I think Jay's star power is on the level with Roman right now. So when Jay comes to make that save, you can't bring Sammy behind him because it's too late. I think right now, Cody makes a save, Sammy makes a save. Then finally, the last little bit of picture you paint, they're getting the best out of the four of them. They can't get no help. It's 5 versus 4. It's just all hands on deck. You got the Tongans. You got the Tongans' other brother now beating them up, Hakilo. You got Solo directing orders. You got Jacob Fatu just being a wild man. They're beating up Cody, beating up Roman, beating up Jimmy, beating up Sammy. Sammy's looking to the crowd. Cody's looking to the crowd, begging for help. Then you hear that, ooh, so it's just me, ooh. The building goes crazy. And Jay needs to come as the Intercontinental Champ. He needs to bring that belt down there to really show that establishment that I did it on my own, but you never turn your back on family. This is my blood. And I'm going to help my cousin, my brother, beat my baby brother and the Tongans and Jacob Fatu, my other cousin, in this bloodline match. And don't forget, The Rock somewhere is involved with this. Could The Rock be the 5th guy? You know, The Rock's still out there. Is he the 5th guy on Solo Squad? He did mention that Bad Blood. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and cut his throat. Could that be something? Because The Rock can say once again, Roman, why did you go get Cody to handle Solo and Jacob? Why didn't you come get me? Why did you involve Cody in our family business? This is family business. We don't involve outsiders. We don't involve Rose in bloodline business. So you could see that. So just so much to just digest and just dialed in on the bloodline storyline. To me, it is arguably the best storyline I've seen in professional wrestling since the NWO takeover. To me, the NWO takeover was the best thing into the NWO. Once again, I'll say it on WOD. I'm not a Pop guy. I never liked X-Pop. Never liked Shawn Whiteman. Good guy. Probably one of the best. Ever had a chance to meet him, I would go shake his hand. Out of respect for what he done for the business. But there's no reason why this guy's a 2-time Hall of Famer. Because he was a member of DX and a member of the NWO. First of all, with the NWO, I'm getting ready to go on a rant on this, and then we'll get to Bryan Danielson. But no, we'll say that for another episode. Save for another episode about the Shawn Whiteman 2-time Hall of Fame rings. Should not be. That'll be another episode of WOD. But the Bloodline is the best storyline that I've seen besides the NWO when it was Hall, Nash, and Hogan. How they took over WCW, and it was the cool thing. And that storyline just lasted and built every week to the Goldberg Hollywood Hogan match where Goldberg won and brought everything back to WCW. That's why I feel like this bloodline and storyline has been. And it's got to recircle back to Cody and Roman, where Roman regains the title. Roman has to go on the chase right now. He's chasing to get Opala back from his cousin Solo. He gets that back. He begins to chase down to get back the title from Cody that Cody won at WrestleMania. So Roman has to go on the chase and has to start off as a baby face, hot baby face, tweener, full-fledged heel. That's what we have to see at the end of this storyline when everything is. And then also, would you like to see Cody lose it to Jacob? And Jacob had to go against Roman. Roman had to go against Jacob to win it. I don't think they want to go that far yet down the road, but that's something you can look at. But I really think if Cody's not going to lose it to Roman, or if he loses to Roman, he wins it back later on down the road, Cody has to drop to Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu within the next 2.5 years has to be the next champ on SmackDown. If you're going directly to Roman, back to Cody, Jacob. If you're saying we're not going to go to Roman, we just have a chase, you got to go straight to Jacob Fatu. So now the next thing we want to talk about is a farewell to somebody who's arguably been one of the best in-ring performers. I compare him to the greats of the Man of 1,000 Hoes, Dean Malenko, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He just could do it all. He could talk. Came out of Ring of Honor. When he first came to NXT, I remember seeing him, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, Ring of Honor, and he was good at Ring of Honor, but he was never one of the people I got behind. I was more of a Claudio guy in Ring of Honor, and and I can't call his partner name right now. Much as I talk about him, I was more them the world's greatest tag, not world's greatest tag team. It'll come to my mind by the end of the episode. I was wondering if you can think of dropping the comment about shame on me because my other Mike right now probably says shame on Shawn because he always talks about Claudio's tag run in Ring of Honor. I was more fans of them, but I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Only on WOD can you do this right here. I tell you, I was gonna drive me bonkers. So I figured out I was more of a Claudio Casanova and Chris Hero, the Kings of Wrestling fan in Ring of Honor. And I watched American Dragon Bryan Danielson, great matches, but really got on to Bryan Danielson when he got to NXT as Daniel Bryan. I think that run he opened up with The Miz was some of his best work. And I think The Miz brought a lot out of Bryan Danielson. I think The Miz being a heel at the best point of his career really brought a lot out of Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, just brought the most out of him. One of the greatest runs he had in WWE. Still one of the biggest WrestleManias ever tonight when he won the title, the confetti coming down, everybody chanting yes. Big moment for that in WWE. Switched up, joined the Wyatt family, had a good run with the Wyatt family, turned on Bray Wyatt in the cage. Big moment for that. He's been involved in a lot of big moments when it comes to wrestling in WWE and AEW. Got hurt, walked away, came back, had another good run in WWE, walked away again, went to AEW to pretty much finish out his career, and went to AEW to be more of a mentor to younger talent. And I really was glad when Bryan Danielson decided to go to AEW. I felt like him in WWE is kind of like with Edge on his last run when he came back to WWE after he was injured his last run. I felt like Edge more was big pay-per-views. We're going to bring you out because you're kind of like a Hall of Famer, which is a Hall of Famer, but more of like a big attraction. And I felt like both of these guys wanted to give more back to younger talent. How do you give more back to younger talent? Being in the ring with younger talent, putting them over and having good matches, helping them work their craft to get where they're at. So I was very glad when Bryan Danielson went to AEW because I knew that's what was the main reason him going there. To win the AEW World Championship and to help put over a lot of younger talent and get them at a good point to be a good coach for them and a good locker room presence. He pretty much hung it up in Seattle, Washington. What a better place to retire than right there in your own backyard. He lost to Moxley, who is a day. And I thought if he had to retire, who better retire him than a WWE guy? You know what's going to be Jericho. So I said it's either going to be Claudio or Moxley. Well, Claudio's not in that AEW World Championship arena right now. And Mox will be the guy because Mox is somebody you can put the title on, hold it for a few months, and if he drops it, it's cool. It's Mox. We all like Mox. Can't go wrong liking Mox. Bryan Danielson lost to Mox. Great match right here. I think AEW did a good job. I'll tell you, when they get it right, by golly, they get it right. They wrote Danielson off great. Great match right here. And if you're Danielson now, you can go take a break for a year or two, come back to AEW or WWE and be a producer. And no, Bryan Danielson, he's done with the road life. He was very, very watching him on the Bella Show on Entertainment Network. He's very frugal with his money. Very, very frugal with his money. Even though Total Divas, when I used to watch that with the missus, very frugal with his money. I remember the episode where everybody had if you were like one of the top talents, you had your own pretty much RV tour bus. He didn't want to buy one. Bree had to pretty much twist his arm and neck to make him buy one for him or her. He was okay with renting the car and crashing at the hotel, getting up the next morning. He lived the indie life. If all the indie wrestlers are watching WOD, that's the indie life. Next arena, next match, crash over the night at the hotel, driving to the next event, coming back to work throughout the week, leaving back on Friday night to another arena. He was cool with that. Bree was the one that wanted the tour bus, but very frugal with his money. Guy who's done a lot for Ring of Honor, making them a household name, made himself a household name in the fans of WWE who want indie guys like us, who watch the indies, made himself a brand name in there. The Miz, I mean, he even took the Miz, even though a lot of people say, I said it earlier, the Miz brought the best out of him. Bryan Danielson brought the best out of Miz because those promos on Talking Smack or those promos when Danielson beat The Miz to win the U.S. title the first time, it started feeling real. And I won't never forget that promo when Danielson was hurt and couldn't wrestle. And he was kind of like interviewing The Miz on Talking Smack. I don't care what you say. They crossed the line a whole lot of that Talking Smack promo. Mike started, he won't The Miz no more. He was Mike. And Bryan Danielson won't Daniel Bryan. He was Bryan Danielson. It blurred the lines. To me, I think they probably worked it out and said, hey, you know, maybe this one cooked a little too much, got a little too hot. But you could feel it because every now and then I go back and watch that edition of Talking Smack, and you could feel that Mike, The Miz, was hot with that comment Bryan Danielson made. And Bryan Danielson got hot because The Miz took a jab at him. But both of these guys, like I said, they brought the best out of each other. Great run in WWE, great run in AEW. Truly one of the best that I've seen in my generation. And I tell you, I compare him to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Dean Malenko. A great comparison, both of them. Or Bret Hart. All three, he's kind of all three of them mixed into one. He can do the moves off the top rope like the Dragon. He knows all the submission styles and the technical style of wrestler like Dean Malenko. He's a executionist in what he does like Bret Hart. You know, I always tell people, if you want to look at a perfect wrestling match, go watch a Bret Hart match. If you want to see a great wrestling match, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, go watch it. Just two people who are at the peak of their ability. Bryan Danielson is one of those guys. A lot of his matches you can go back and watch. Him and Randy with some good classics. Just a great guy. Hate to see him go, but it's time. It's time. And you know when it's time. It's time. And hats off to Swerve. Because Swerve could say, I'm not dropping the belt to Bryan Danielson. I'm going to retire him. But Swerve knew it was bigger than him. Let me give this guy a chance to say he's won a WWE Heavyweight Championship, a Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championship, now AEW Heavyweight Championship. Let me give him that opportunity because he deserved it for all the hard work he's put in AEW. Make sure that the younger talent gets to the level where he's at. Hate to see Bryan Danielson go, but as I stated earlier, it was time. And I think we'll definitely be seeing him get a Hall of Fame ring in the next couple of years in WWE. I'd say give it 2 to 3 years. He'll be getting a Hall of Fame ring from WWE. If AEW opens up their Hall of Fame, he'll be definitely getting one. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Sting and done it on the same night in AEW Hall of Fame. Well, this is Shawn. This is WOD. I'm getting ready to jump out of here. Time to catch some Saturday afternoon football, catch up on my game day, and get ready for some Saturday night football right here on Collegiate Style in North Carolina. This is Shawn. I'm signing off. We'll see you next week on WOD right here on the Boom Broadcasting.